saying hello and a very warm welcome to a special showing of brand equity. I'm here with a very special guest. It's a man I've been wanting to interview for a very long time. It's none other than Yannick Bollore, the CEO of Havas Group. Thank you so much, Yannick.
No. Thank you. It's a great pleasure and an immense honor to be with you today.
This is totally my pleasure, but I want to start this interview by telling you something. You're called Havas. Do you know in India, there is a word called Havas?
I know.
And do you know the meaning of that?
Yeah, I know. I remember because the first time I did a conference in India, they were saying the Havas CEO is coming and the room was full. I didn't understand why there are so many people attending this conference. And I remember I learned the meaning of the Havas word in
India.
India.
It's lust.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I remember.
So,
But we have nothing to do with lust. It's a communication group. No.
Lusting with the consumer.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. But I want to first talk to you about your first observations of Cannes 2022. We've come back after 2 long years. It seems to be a revenge Cannes. So many people out here, delegates, attending sessions, partying, just people are going crazy. What are your observations about what is being discussed at Cannes post the pandemic?
Yeah, first, I'm so glad to be back at Cannes. It's been 3 years now that we haven't been in Cannes to meet with great people, Havas people, partners, journalists, and great companies from all over the world. So first, it's a great pleasure. This year it's fully packed. I didn't expect Cannes to be so full, to be honest. It's like nothing happened, so it's really a resilient world and I really love it. It's fascinating. And so far it's, I would say, a great millésime, a great year for Havas in terms of awards, because first, Cannes is a festival of creativity.
Sure.
So we need to celebrate creativity in Cannes, and Havas has a very, very strong start.
Absolutely. I'm glad you talked about Cannes being a festival of creativity, but I've been noticing in my conversations the last few days with marketers, with network heads, everybody is talking about technology, and how the enabler of technology and not so much about creativity. It's all about NFTs, it's all about crypto, it's all about metaverse, it's the alternate world. What's your view? Do you think people are forgetting the basics and getting very geeky, or do you think that's the future?
It's a great question because we see many tech companies that were not in Cannes 5 years ago. I think there are 2 reasons. Number one, tech has always been part of creativity. We have always used technology as a part of being more creative. So it's a number one point. And point number 2, I think most of those tech platforms, they live out of advertising. So they are also coming to Cannes to get to know some clients, to get some advertising, and to get their fair share. Look at in the digital spend. In the US and in Europe, Google, Facebook, Amazon are the main
players,
suppliers and the main players today in that field. So that's normal that they are coming to Cannes, but we very much welcome technology, and I think it's a great enabler to creativity.
Okay, so you're saying it can go hand in hand, and we're not going a bit overboard, and we're not, you don't think we're forgetting our fundamentals as an industry?
No, I think the fundamental as an industry is not just creativity, is to drive growth for our clients.
Right.
Why a client is choosing a communication agency or communication group is to help them better communicate in order to gain market share and to drive growth for their business. Creativity is a very huge part of it, because a creative message is much more memorable. You will memorize it better. It will help you drive more sales.
Sure.
So I think creativity is key. Strategy is key.
Yes.
We tend to forget about strategists. We have great planners in Cannes. People are very smart as the best consultant in the world that can find great campaigns, great ideas. And technology is key because now clients are using more and more e-commerce to shop online. So what we call consumer experience, CX, is more and more important. It's more important today than in the past. You see the e-commerce needs technology and creativity. So I'm not bored, I'm not shocked, I think it's good, but creativity and strategy need to remain at the core of what is Cannes Lions.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people are talking about holding companies such as yours and the others, right? And they're saying that with such a big, huge change in the way we are looking at creativity, looking at communication. Do you think the agency models of today, not just yours, I'm talking about all the holding companies, right, and their traditional models, do you think it's going to remain the same in terms of how they've been structured, or are we looking at a big change?
No, I think but we need to change. We need to evolve all the time. I mean, like any species need to evolve in order to survive.
Sure.
So we need to adapt to be more integrated. So that's why we have created what we call the Havas Village,
Yes.
where every companies are working under one roof, being able to deliver an end-to-end solution to all of our clients. We have been doing that for the past 9 years. I think today we need to include meaningfulness to everything we do for clients. So how a product can not only change a person's life, being helpful at the right price, but what the product can do for the community or for the world. So if we continue to adapt ourselves, we will continue to remain the best partner for our clients. But I believe in evolution, and I love evolution and innovation in general.
It's been a tough 2.5 years, right, for the world and for all of us personally. How have you, as the leader of Havas, actually managed to navigate this tough ship? Given the fact that we had so many challenges, I want you to throw light on what the challenges you faced as a leader, and how you overcame that in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, as a leader, it has been very complex to navigate through COVID. I remember mid-March 2020, yes, when the world stopped completely, clients stopped investing, we're all staying at home, it was very complex. First, I mean, my first worry was for people. I mean, were they safe? We were very frightened at that time.
Yes.
Some of our people have lost their dear ones, so it has been a very emotional period of time. And from a business standpoint, after 3 horrible months, terrible, we saw at the end of 2020 the business starting to bounce back, not at all at the level of 2019.
Yeah.
We thought that we will recover the level of 2019 in 2022, but finally, and I've been quite positively surprised, in 2021 we had a better year than 2019, which was a good year. So it shows the resilience of the industry. I think at Havas we have been helped because Havas is part of Vivendi, which is controlled by a family group, the Bollore Group, my family group. So it has helped us to have and to develop a long-term strategy. So just to give you an example, our first and main asset in communication is people, it's talent.
Yeah.
And we've been able, thanks to this long-term strategy ability, due to our ownership, not to do any layoffs during the lockdown.
Wow.
So we kept all our people, so they were there, they remember that we kept them, that they were staying at Havas.
Wonderful.
And during the bounce back, it has been a key enabler to drive more growth for the group and for our clients.
That's great news, and that's very noble. I think more companies should learn from you. But having said that, 2022, everybody thought will be the big bounce back here. But looking at what is happening globally in terms of inflationary pressures, in terms of the geopolitical tensions, in terms of just spending power of the consumer coming down because of what's happened with COVID. Also, government doleouts. Governments have given big doleouts for COVID. So the tax, they will have to collect in tax. So it will come on to the citizens of the world to take up. How do you think that's going to affect the world economy? Don't you think we're heading into a recession? And it's going to be a tough few years for the world?
It's interesting, it's a great question. That's the main question, main topic of discussion with clients as all our partners since Cannes began.
Yes.
What I can tell you is that at the end of May, if I look at the numbers, they are good. I mean, Q1 was great, and we have no signals today of recession.
Oh.
We have maybe some signals of a softening more than a recession, because the planning, let's say, for the advertising spend, it was forecasted at plus 12%. Finally, it will be more around plus 9%, which is still good. I'm a happy CEO with a 9% growth, to be frank.
Yeah.
But we have some threats. We have some clouds. Today it's raining in Cannes. It's not always the case.
Yes.
Even never the case. But so we have some clouds coming. We have inflation, which will jeopardize the purchase power of consumers, of course. We have tensions in the supply chains, which is not good with some clients because they have supply problems. Some of them have problem to access components such as microchips, so they are have some problem supply, so they're reducing their investment. But I will tell you what worries me the most is a shift, a global shift in what we used to call the happy globalization. You know, when I started as a CEO, we were living in a world of globalization. Every countries were opening up.
Exactly.
Digital was driving growth. Millions and hundreds of millions of people were accessing the consumer society, were accessing the middle class, as we call it. So
Yeah.
people were getting out of poverty. It was great in areas of growth. I remember we invested in India.
Yes.
We're about to open up an office in Tehran, in Iran. So it was quite a different one. I went in Sochi, in Russia in 2014 for the Olympics with a lot of American brands. It was a complete different world. What I see today, and it has started like 6 years ago, I remember, with Brexit.
Yes.
We were here in Cannes, the exact same week 6 years
Correct.
ago, and we were shocked by the result of Brexit. Then we had the election of Donald Trump in the US with a claim, very clear claim, America first. Well, we saw countries come back on themselves, less open to globalization. So I think we are entering an era of de-globalization. And this era worries me the most as a global CEO of a global company with people from all over the world. We have this family feel, whether we're coming from France, India, UK, China, wherever in the world. And I can feel that the population are changing and they don't see anymore the benefits of globalization. So I think we have a role to play in communication.
Yes.
Because through our commercials we can influence people's behavior. So I think we need to make sure to preserve peace in the world. For me, peace is my number one concern.
Lovely to hear that, but I'm glad you've pointed it out because everything you've said is so true. We're becoming more selfish as a world, I first, you know, and not we. Having said that, every country is looking internally and looking at their own benefits, and we are becoming, you know, don't you think as a race we're regressing a bit? We're not evolving, we're going backwards.
That's exactly that, and that's a big concern for me, because people believe that if they come back on themselves with a more inward looking than outwards, it will be better for them, which I'm not sure at all, because it will drive more inflation, it will drive wars. So this, what I call de-globalization, it's a big trend. No one is talking about it.
Why did it happen? Are people so unhappy that this happened? Why did de-globalization happen?
I think it happened because people, especially in the Western economies, didn't see, but they didn't all see the benefits of the globalization. You have seen the rise of populism in some countries in Europe, and you feel tension between populations, between countries, and this is not good. This is not good at all. You know, I was born in 1980, and in France, in 1980, that was the first year where we didn't have to do anymore our mandatory military service. Because people believed back 25, 30 years ago that there will be no more war. And what's happening 2 hours from France in Ukraine is just a nightmare for me.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the world is changing a lot. I think we are at a pivotal point.
If the world is changing and it's also us who are changing as people, how do you think creativity will be impacted? Because finally, creativity is a reflection of society.
Yeah.
And if this is what we believe as humanity, do you think creativity is also going to regress?
It's a great question, and thank you for asking. I mean, one of the core values of Havas is inclusivity and diversity. I mean, we believe that a diverse world is a better world. Just take as an example, because we're in Cannes to celebrate creativity, have a look at the campaign that won a Grand Prix in the outdoor category for Adidas.
I saw it, I loved it.
Liquid billboard made by the Havas team in Middle East. So inclusive, so good, using technology as well, and the message it delivers is so powerful. And this is the kind of work I'm so proud of, and we need to continue to accelerate on that path to make sure people understand the benefits of diversity, inclusivity, traveling, and being open to one another.
When I was growing up, I never saw women that looked like me wearing the hijab, and I feel like that hindered my ability to kind of dream.
حوض للسباحة معلق على شكل لوحة إعلانية في
The first ever liquid billboard.
아디다스는 최근 세계 최초로 두바이 해변에 액체 광고판을 선보였습니다.
Swimming is for everyone, like a billboard type setup, an Adidas airport.
When I look around and I look at everyone, I feel that we are all the same in the water.
Yannick, can you take me through your three verticals and talk to me about, which vertical you look at as a superstar, which will be a super deliverer in the coming years, and big trends that you see, in the industry that you're looking to harness in the coming years?
So we have three verticals: the media verticals where we buy media,
Yeah.
The creative verticals where we produce creative, and to make it simple, and the health vertical. So obviously during COVID, as you can imagine, health was a superstar
Yes, yes.
because everybody wanted more health. And by the way, after the COVID, it has changed the perception of health because now people understand the benefits of having a strong healthcare, to invest in R&D in that space. So it's still performing super well, and both media and creative has bounced back. So if I look at the end of May, the three divisions are growing at the same pace. And honestly, it's fantastic to have. It's like if you have a plane or a boat with three engines, or it doesn't exist with three engines. Well, yeah, it exists with three engines, some of them. And both three engines are working very well. So that's why I know we have some clouds coming. But when I look at the present situation, at the time now, it's looking very well.
Okay. If you look at all the holding companies and you juxtapose, let's say, a WPP, Omnicom, IPG, and with Havas, how do you differentiate yourself? What is your unique positioning?
That's very interesting. So we have different points of differentiation. The number one is what we call the Havas Village. So it's a more integrated offer. So for when a client comes to Havas, he can have everything in one place. So he doesn't have to have multiple partners,
Right.
one for mobile, one for search, one for creativity, one for media, one for production. We can deliver everything very easily. So it's a big point of differentiation, especially for big clients. We have been the first to believe in meaningfulness, how we can help brands being perceived as being more meaningful for their consumers. And the meaningful brands are overperforming their peers. So it's a big point of differentiation. We have all our talent strategy. I think people are more engaged, are happier at Havas. We have done lots of programs to make sure people are the happiest possible because it's a talent industry. And the fourth point of differentiation, which is very important, is the fact that we belong to the Vivendi Group, which is one of the world leaders in entertainment, communication and media. And it helps us understand better the entertainment world and also the tech world. So
Yes.
this is the four Havas USPs, if you like.
You're talking about entertainment, and you're a pretty strong player there, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking to get more aggressive. With the pandemic, we saw, the streaming services get a big push because we had nothing better to do in life but watch, content. What is the kind of trends you're seeing there now that the pandemic we're coming back to normal slowly? People are going out, right? So you're not spending as much time at home. So that big peak may not be there anymore. So what are the big trends that you see that will remain, and what will change?
Okay, so first let me say that during the pandemic I was very happy to see the streaming consumption increase, time increase, but also books, because we have seen that during pandemic people have been reading more books, and even after the pandemic they continue to read books, which is I think great to read books, and we're also a book publisher, so it was a good news for Vivendi.
Yes.
So the big trend is still the shift from linear TV to streaming. I mean, it will continue to accelerate. So the question is, how do you make sure that you offer to your clients the possibility to watch the content anytime, anywhere, on any device through a great consumer experience? We have a great pay TV operation called Canal Plus,
Yes.
a streaming service, which is doing super well. And now we need to increase our presence on that space because we see some giants coming from all over the world
Yes.
emerging.
Yes.
So today we have 25 million subscribers, which is good, but maybe we can grow our subs base to be sure that we can continue to have the best content for our clients.
You talked about the streaming services. Why do you think then a big player like Netflix is struggling today in terms of subscriber base? They are on a decline. In India, they're absolutely struggling. We're such a huge country, but the subscriber numbers are a joke. So why do you think such a big player who's investing so much money is suffering?
First, they still have more than 200 million subscribers, which is a lot. So it's not suffering. I mean, maybe the growth is slowing down, but it's still a great player. But India is very specific because I believe India has a very strong culture.
Yes.
Very strong country culture. You see with Bollywood and everything. And I believe that when you go to India, you have to be Indian.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You cannot say to Indians do like Americans do. It won't work. And at Havas, at Vivendi in general, we attach a very strong importance to local cultural expertise. That's why in every country we operate, we have a local leader with local teams. We try to understand their culture, and we are not trying to impose a scheme that has worked in other countries. How can we start from their culture and to make sure we can help them grow their culture? And how can we export then this culture to other countries? And the case of India is very interesting because your culture is just amazing. I'm a big fan of India, and I just can't wait to coming back there.
I can't wait for you to come too. But having said that, I do want to ask you that Havas has been in India for a long time,
Yeah.
but it's become aggressive in the last few years.
Yeah.
Why have you taken so long to become aggressive?
Yes, that's true. We became aggressive 3 years ago when we have tripled our size. We made 3 acquisitions. We
Yes.
went from 300 people to more than 1,000. We hired a great new team with Rana, Bobby, and all the great team in India. I
Yeah.
cannot name anyone, but the teams are fantastic. We will continue to be aggressive in India. I mean, I think it's more being opportunistic because it's a country of opportunity with an amazing talent, a great digitalization, a fantastic culture, as I said. So we will continue to support and to invest in India.
I'm interested to know, because of the current situation in the world, different things happening, do you see in going forward America still being the strongest market in the medium to long term?
In terms of media spend,
In terms of media spends, in terms of consumption? Or do you see a change in the world pecking order?
well, it's hard. Today, US is number 1, then you have China, who is still picking
Yeah.
up, Japan is number 3, and then you have India growing, France, Brazil, Germany, UK. I think it will remain like that for a period of time, but for sure, I mean, India is growing super fast. I think China, it's hard to know exactly with the pandemic because they have been under lockdown, but
Yeah.
it's still a growing economy.
So
But I
the-
think US will continue to remain a very strong player in the years to come. Yeah.
So you don't think that because of all these geopolitical tensions, the supply chain, breaking down, you don't think there'll be a change in the world order? China number 1?
It's a complicated question,
Yeah.
but China will become number 1 in terms of GDP
Yes.
quite rapidly. After, in terms of GDP per capita or per habitant per people, US will remain number 1 for a longer period of time. But I mean, we are living in a world with new economy, which is good, I think. A very strong India, a strong China. US will remain a very strong player. Maybe Europe
Yeah.
can bounce back one day, I hope, being European. And which is great. And we should not forget South America, Latin America,
Yes,
which is growing.
strong, yes.
Great run so
Creativity
far.
also.
Creativity is great. And Africa, which I think can be a continent of opportunity in the decade to come.
You're one of I think you are the youngest, CEO and owner compared to your peers who are, much older. And you obviously have a much longer innings because
Yeah.
it's also a family-run
Yeah.
operation. So you have more security and a steady path. What is your ambition? What legacy do you want to leave behind? You're only 42.
Yeah.
That's very young.
So I'm the youngest, but in terms of tenure,
the longest.
I'm almost the longest. You only have John Wren from
Yes.
Omnicom, but all the other one have been appointed after me.
That's
so I
true.
feel an ancient CEO already, and that's true. I'm here for a long term, like the Queen of England. Maybe I will do a jubilee in 50 years here in Cannes.
But
I don't know.
what's your view of brands are trying to pretend that they're doing good, and shouting it out? They're forgetting that they have to first run a good business,
Of course.
right? And then you can talk about be doing good. I think this purpose-driven marketing is a bit overrated, and they need to focus on business. Would you agree with that?
I understand this point.
Yes.
Because we had a lot of greenwashing and stuff like that those past years, because brand understood that being purpose-led will help grow market share. But the problem is for the brand that are not really purposed or not really meaningful,
Yeah.
that are masquerading themselves in a purpose-led brand, it's not working. In the world of today and in the world of tomorrow, you have to be authentic. You have to be authentic. You cannot lie to consumers, they will find out. So you have to run a good business, but I believe that if your brands bring benefits to collectivities and to the world, it will grow faster. So I think you need to find a balance, but purpose and good business can come together.
Yannick, you look at all these digital behemoths like Facebook, Google, Twitter. There's a big conversation, and it's been going on for a while, on the fact that all of them are independent solo players, walled gardens,
Yeah.
right? And there is no transparency, and there is no unified metric system for investors, like for brands. Do you think there should be more push and more aggression towards these big players, because they're also big monopolies or duopolies? They need to be more open and transparent about the viewability, about actually what's happening, because we have to believe them. There is no way to authenticate it, unlike traditional media, which all have a metric system.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too technical, but
You can
when
be
you
technical.
buy advertising on TV, which is clearly measurable, and advertising on digital, it's not with the same goal. On TV, you want to build brand equity for the mid-long term, to make it simple. Huh?
Yeah.
And on digital, you are more measuring the performance of the return on investment, the click to buy. So
Yeah.
you're advertising on, let's say, YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or
Yes,
Snap.
yes.
How many clicks or how many direct to the store, online store it has led, it has generated. So at the end of the day, it's not really the viewability who counts on the internet. It's more the performance, direct performance that you can measure on the short term.
Right.
It's harder if you want to build brand equity on the internet, as you don't really measure viewability, it's harder. You still can do, we have some own metrics, so we can reconcile the numbers. But for me, it's not a concern. We have great
No?
partnership with all those players. We are ready to live in a world without third-party cookies, without a cookie-less world. So I mean, we know how to navigate, and I think this is one of the added value of a group like us for clients.
Do you think that in the last few years, brands have focused a lot on tactical marketing, performance marketing, like you just talked about, and have not focused on brand building? Everything is on to make an Insta story or a reel or like a YouTube thing, or just do something on
Yeah.
Twitter. It's very short term, so they've forgotten the big picture.
You can do tactical advertising, but it has to be part of a greater idea.
Yes.
And of a consistent strategy.
Yes.
So first, brands need to work on their brand's platform, their strategy, what do they stand for, what do they produce, what are they used for the consumers and societies. And then you can do some tactical advertising, not the other way around. So I see some brands that are only very tactical, very short-term driven, and they tend to forget about the big idea. And then the trap is that they can become inconsistent, and consumers won't understand what the brand stands for. So, but you can do both tactical and general advertising.
Do you feel concerned, like a few years ago, with the Accentures and the Deloittes of the world, who said they're going to come and cannibalize and take over the advertising world because they're better at strategy and
Yeah.
consulting and all of that? Do you think that's worked? Do you think they're being successful?
So I was concerned 5 years ago when we started to invest. So we did the same to protect ourselves. So we invest in consulting, we have acquired some consulting companies. And in fact, 5 years after, I'm very pleased by what happened, because our consulting business is very successful.
Oh.
So we managed to went up the value chain,
Yeah.
and there is not really growing or not really working.
So that was just...
So finally, it was a great news for advertising groups like us, because we managed to go up the value chain.
Right.
So it has been a good news. So I'm not worried anymore. But I'm very happy with our consulting group. Maybe it's going to be a fourth vertical one day.
Sure.
Because it's working very well, growing super fast. We have great people, great company, but you know that what's interesting is that people are seeing advertising agencies or advertising people like just creative.
Yes.
But you cannot do any good creative work without a good strategy. So we hire thousands and thousands of strategists, planners, what we call planners, and they are the smartest guy of their generation. Even sometimes, and most of the time, smarter than traditional consultants.
But tell me, doesn't it have a perception problem, advertising? Because you're right, everybody looks at advertising as just creative. They don't look at it as a wholesome unit of creative and
I'm
strategy.
trying to shift from advertising to communication.
Ah,
I think it's important. It's not just advertising. Advertising is a part of communication. But in communication, you have the brand strategy, you have the PR, you have the media, you have everything, consumer experience, how to apprehend e-commerce. So I think communication maybe it's more representative of who we are, and we are more consultants in communication than advertisers. If I try to be more accurate in how to represent the industry today. So we have shifted from an advertising industry to a communication consultancy type of groups.
Yannick, you've been meeting so many clients in Cannes, right? What is the sense you're getting from them? Are they looking to cut down on spending because of the fact that they themselves are under so much pressure?
First, I'm glad to see that we have more clients in Cannes this year than what we had in the past. So
yes.
Year after year, we have more and more clients. Now we even have some big CEOs coming to Cannes to see what's happening in this industry. It's kind of I was having dinner yesterday with a Rekit CMO, Fabrice, and he told me that Cannes has become the Davos of communication.
Yes.
Which is, I think, a smart comment. And
Good line.
so it's good to have all those clients. They are always looking for more productivity. So we need to adapt ourselves to reduce our cost structure and to be smart in the way we can deliver a better service at a lower price. But technology and digital is helping us on that front. And like I said, they have some concern. They have some concern on the second half of the year, but they don't talk about stopping their investment. Maybe waiting a little bit or being more agile. But as I told you, I see more a softening than a recession or a contraction.
What is keeping you awake at night? What, as somebody who's leading such a huge global group, what is keeping you awake? What are you concerned about for the future?
My concern would be to miss the next important things for clients. But my question as a CEO is, I'm always thinking, putting myself in the shoes of our client. I mean, that's our client paying for what we deliver. So I have a duty toward my people, 21,000 people at Havas, to make sure that they will continue to get a job and an interesting job, well paid tomorrow, well compensated. So for me, I need to make sure that Havas will continue to remain best in class in what we do, in what we deliver. So I constantly want to innovate. That's why we have purchased the land on the metaverse. We have invested in NFTs, blockchain. So I want to remain the most innovative group of the industry to make sure we are one step ahead of our competitor.
And what is your ambition? What is your ambition for
I have
Havas?
a clear ambition, is to become, and to be, I hope we are today, but to become the most meaningful group of the industry.
Oh, so you're not interested in being the best or number one or the biggest?
Number one in service delivery, not in size. I don't care, but honestly, I mean, we have a pretty decent size with operations all over the world in every discipline, so I'm very happy with the size.
Sure.
You know, when you're too big, you're not agile.
That's true.
So how can we remain agile? And I think our scale, because you need to have scale, minimum scale. But with 20,000+ people being present all over the world, I think we have, honestly, the best scale.
So you are happy. I'm glad. It's refreshing to hear that you don't want to be the biggest, or I
want to be the best.
The best.
The best.
The best.
So when we won the Grand Prix yesterday with the Liquid Billboard, we won 2 Gold Lions with some crazy campaigns to cure Parkinson with a tablet, very smart, with a great case study we did for an NGOs to fight against abused children. So we created an avatar in one of the most famous metaverse called Fortnite, the video game, with a player that was in fact an NGO that was talking to kids to make sure they were not abused, and we have been able to save life. So how could I be more happy?
Fair enough. On that note, thank you so
Thank
much,
you very
Yannick.
much.
This has truly been very,
No,
very
no,
interesting.
Pleasure was mine.
And I hope to see you in India when you
I
come there
will.
next. Yeah?
Make sure of it.
Yeah.
Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.